Ahoy there, matey. I see the glow squid in the grinder. There she glows. So this is a glow squid and also truly an axolotl farm in Minecraft, and this can easily be made in survival. Here is how it works. Glow squid and axolotl have basically the same spawning conditions. They need to be in complete 100% darkness. They need to be underground or under Y70 or Y64, which is where the water level is. And they need to have a natural block below them, at least 5 blocks below them to spawn, which basically, if you think about it in Minecraft, that's gonna be inside of caves. Dark, you got your natural blocks, and it is underground. So this farm here will mimic that and allow glow squid and axolotl to spawn. The axolotl will work as your minions and they will attack the glow squid. Currently, none of them are doing that because I've been running this for a little while, and axolotl do have a 2-minute cooldown when it comes to killing creatures. So that's probably the biggest issue with this farm, is that it's not incredibly quick. It's not the fastest. Once their cooldown runs out, the axolotls will attack. There we go. We have 1 murder and 2 murders. And then the ink sacs, which are really difficult to see. Oh, there we go. Should have done this from the very beginning. There we go. Night vision. Hooray, we can see. We're going to simulate. Let's simulate that. Oh, there's a glow squid. It died right here. Right there, it was murdered. The glow ink sacs will float up to the top of the chamber and then be pushed by this flowing water into these blocks of honey. And they almost always do this little thing where they smack and then they go down and then they slowly float up and then they will be captured by the hoppers there. Once they're finally up there at the top. There they go. Goodbye. The only place that this farm can sometimes mess up is right here along this hopper line. Sometimes items can get caught right in there, but that's been very, very rare. I haven't seen that happen very often. So that's a slight issue, but really not that big of an issue. And then over here are where the items are deposited. Oh, whoa. Apparently I ended up breaking a chest here, so boop, there we go. Well, that didn't work out either. There you go, perfect. And now it is depositing those items. How many? Oh wow, we had a whole bunch of items in there. It's been a while since I broke that. So there you go. That is the farm. It's pretty simple to build. It is a little intensive. I'm currently using tinted glass on the top, and you don't need tinted glass. You can just use a solid block. Tinted glass allows me to see through, which is kind of cool because tinted glass doesn't let any light through. It's tinted. That's why it's so awesome. So let's get to building. The first thing that you want to do is you want to find some land that is open for you to dig in, and that is basically at Y64. So over here, this stretch right here is actually pretty good. And we don't have a mountain nearby, so that's really nice. We kind of have that hill, but that's not a big deal. So this area right here is actually really, really great. Plains is basically what I would suggest if you don't want to chop down a lot of trees, but you really don't want to build it on top of a hill or anything like that, because you need the top of this to be at Y64. This little plains area happened to have a section that was at 64, but I could also head on over here, and it looks like this is going to be 64 as well. So 63, even one better. So I'm going to use blocks of iron to map out where everything is going to go. And basically, we are going to build a hole in the ground that is going to be 8 wide. Did I count that correctly? Looks like I did. So it's going to be 8 wide, and then however long you want. Now, yeah, I had mine be about 20 blocks long, but you could really do whatever you want here, just as long as you want. But it does have to be 8 in that first direction. However long this is going to be, better be how many hoppers you have, because you're going to have as many hoppers as you build this across. So if you don't have a lot of iron, if you're starting out early game, maybe that will be your determining factor on how long this is. Also, if you don't want to be building forever, you know, that might be an indicator as well. Once you have that sketched out, you're going to dig down 6 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm looking at the 6th block, and using the magic of commands, we are gonna dig this out instantaneously. So as you can see from that border that we made, we are 6 blocks deep. The floor is the 7th block. Now, if you happen to have anything in your floor that isn't a natural stone, so that means smooth stone, this diorite, andesite, granite, all of those stones, then you need to replace it. So if this coal had happened to be somewhere in the ground here, I would want to pick that up and replace it with stone. If you want to be like really particular about it, just switch everything to stone so that you'll absolutely have a block that will spawn in axolotls and glow squid. Next, we're going to fill in a lot of the bottom with water. We're gonna stop right underneath that first layer. So stop with the 2 blocks at the top empty. If you have 2 water buckets, you can do this very simply just by using one of the middle things as an infinite water source. 2 water next to each other will create a water source in between them. So I know there's one in the corner. Skip this one, put it down, it created a water source there. So then I can move over here and keep going. We're going to fill in all of these layers of water. 1 layer is done. Now I'm gonna move on to the next layer. The next layers are much easier because that's how the water works. Okay, so that is all done. And remember what I said, leave these next 2 spaces open. And what you're going to want to do is fill this in with any type of block. It could be stone, could be slime, doesn't matter, but it needs to be any block. I filled it in with slime because in survival mode, this is instantly breakable. Then we are going to run water across one side. Whichever side that you decide to run water across, you are going to have your hoppers be on the other side. So just keep that in mind as you're creating this. And don't fill in any of the edges. The water should basically go until it stops, and then it won't go anymore. And that is exactly what we want. Now we can destroy the slime down there. And so here, I'm gonna switch into survival mode just to show you. Ooh, look at that. It's instant break. So we break out all of the slime, but then also make sure that you add water source blocks on where that slime used to be. So first off, let's get rid of slime. And because this is Minecraft, we do need to be very careful that we don't disturb this top layer. If we accidentally put, say, a water source block, like say right here, this flowing water is going to get all messed up, and we will have to recreate this slime situation in order to get it to work again. So you'll notice that these slimes will stop going to the top right at that layer that we just destroyed them from. And that's because those are flowing water blocks, not water source blocks. So we need to fill them in. This can get a little bit tedious because you need to remember basically where you've clicked before. So I've clicked there, and I go down here and it gets something else, and I know so I can click there, and then I can skip one and move along to make sure. And so you can see once they're sources, the slime actually starts to rise. And I've already forgot where I clicked, so this is gonna get great. Okay, so if I've done this all correctly, all of the slime should rise. Oops, sorry, I've taken damage. Should rise to the top and be floating here at the line of the flowing water. Looks like it all worked out. That's perfect. So right here is where you're going to add your hoppers and your honey blocks. And if you're wondering why honey, that seems like a very weird block to use in this build. It's because honey is actually a block that you can walk into just a little bit. I should say that Rayworks is the person that I saw this design first. And so this is a modification of Rayworks' design. In his design, he was using cobblestone walls, but I found that the axolotls got caught an awful lot right there on that gap. So to avoid that, I'm using honey. And the reason I'm using honey is if I walk up to this block and then kind of scoot over to the honey block, you can see I move forward just a little bit. And so honey is kind of like soul sand, and that it has a hitbox that's actually slightly smaller than the block. And that small hitbox will allow all the items to fall into that block area to be picked up by the hoppers, but will not be large enough that the axolotls get caught in it. So now that we have all of that done, we are going to make this entire row of dirt hoppers. And remember, hoppers have a direction that they point. So we are going to make sure that that we're creating a hopper line where the nozzle of the hopper is pointing into the previous hopper, just like that. And then once we're done with that hopper line, we're just going to take our honey and we're going to add it to the top like so. Now, remember that this build does need to be completely dark, 100% dark inside. And honey and hoppers can get a little bit tricky. So if you happen to have some type of transparent block or a block missing from around honey, that will let light in. So you do need to be careful of that. Now, all we need to do is add our darkened, our opaque block. And I'm going to use tinted glass, but you could use any type of non-transparent block to make sure that works. Because I'm in creative and lazy, I'm just going to use the fill command here. But I am going to make sure that whatever solid block I'm using is above the honey blocks. So make sure that you cover those honey blocks because, like I said earlier, they are transparent. And if you just want to be like, you can, the edges, sun can't go through the edges. So if that little thing right there, you're fine with. So I have on the night vision effect, so it looks like there's light going in there, but if I turn off my night vision, then you can see that it's fully dark, and it's pretty obvious when there's light leaking through. So if that block is broke, you can see light is coming through inside of there, but if I put back a solid block, then it's not. So it's pretty obvious, especially here on Java Edition. I'm not 100% sure on Bedrock Edition that there's no light inside of there. Next, we need to capture the output of this hopper. So dig down to where that hopper is right there. I'm going to put one more down, and then this will be where I have my chest. Oh, that's a trap chest. Get out of here, trap chest. You're always fooling me. And then we're just going to throw this down. Now, this is an area where light can leak in because you have to have a hole for the hopper to reach to the chest, and the hopper is a transparent block. So this is going to be letting light into this area. Even if I kind of close that up, still light is coming through. So basically, I'm going to build a shade above my chest with a long tunnel because light can, it travels through blocks basically. So I'm just going to make a roof on top of this chest, and then make it big enough for my player to hang out in. In the build I showed at the beginning of the video, I had a door, but it's really not necessary. As long as it gets dark in here, you're good to go. And the door was just kind of like for looks, basically. So that's the majority of the build. I added a large tower right over here, 120 blocks tall, because mobs will start to despawn when you're outside of an area of 128 blocks. So our spawn chamber here, and that's a big radius, by the way. So our spawn chamber here is a few blocks deep. So if I go up 120 blocks from this edge, and you can build it right here in the center to kind of, because it is like a spherical shape. And so you could build that tower so that you can AFK up there, and none of the mobs within 120 blocks of me being here at this level will spawn. They'll all disappear. And so if I'm way, way, way up 120 blocks, then basically there'll be a small cross section right here at the floor where mobs can spawn. Now that I'm way up here on top of my crazy tower, I think I built it at 121 blocks. But now we just kind of wait for things to spawn in. All that stuff over there should despawn because of how high up in the air we are. Same thing with all the stuff in the ocean, like any extra, well, we have a few squids right there, but as you can see, they're probably within 120 blocks. So if you want to be able to see, maybe you could use one of the new spy glasses to kind of check out what is going on down there. And I can already see that it looks like I have some axolotls are really, there you go. I saw some motion right there. There's some motion. And so the axolotls looks like they've spawned in first. Possibly already we had some glow squid, but when they tend to take damage, they like stop glowing for some reason. If you put a slime block right there, it'll break your fall if you don't happen to catch the ladder. Now to jump in there and actually start like checking out the axolotls and see how everything is going, I'm gonna need a sticky piston, a lever, and then any type of solid block. And right here on the edge, can be any edge, I'm gonna put down the block right over there, put the sticky piston right there, and then turn it on and turn it off. And now there's an opening, and this will let light in. But these axolotls should not despawn while I'm hanging out around them. That'll all be good. And remember, axolotls will never despawn if you pick them up in a bucket and then put them back down. You don't even have to rename them, you just have to pick them up in a bucket. So I'm switching over to survival mode, and I have a ton of buckets right here, and I'm just gonna start picking up axolotl. One thing that I did notice is that you really don't want to be looking up when you're doing this, because so many times while I was testing out this build, I was trying to catch an axolotl and I misclicked, and I clicked on the top of this roof and it messed up my water flow, and that was super annoying because you have to rebuild the layer below it and then replace all the water down. So basically look downwards as you're trying to catch these axolotl, and you should have a better time of it, because worst case is that you click the you know, a wall, or you click the floor or something like that. There we go, got some babies. So this is obviously a great way to get axolotl, which what I'm gonna do here is after I pick up the last guy there, looks like I picked up all the axolotl, then I'm gonna head back up to the top and spawn more. So now that these guys aren't messing up the spawn, you know, cap or anything like that, I can head back up to the top of my tower and even more axolotl will spawn, which is kind of a great way to maybe get that blue axolotl. So it looks like now I have some glow squid spawning in there and even some more axolotl. So I mean, I could pick up as many as I want and then set them all back down in there, and they won't despawn. And then the more axolotl you have, you're kind of running a balance game of the more axolotl you have, the less glow squid will spawn because of mob caps, but also the shorter the cooldown will be because you just have so many axolotl in there. Each one of them has a 2-minute cooldown, but if you have 20 of them, then it's, you know, it doesn't matter if there's a 2-minute cooldown, because one of them will be able to attack the glow squid. So that's up to you how you want to set this all up. Ooh, I am in survival and I almost died. So let's also, this has only been going for just a few minutes. I really have only had one chance to go up there and come down. And we already have 4 ink sacs. Not a ton, but we do have 4 ink sacs, and possibly there are some ink sacs that are still kind of floating around trying to get up to the top. Remember to close this before you head up your tower. Your tower of power to check out these things. Yeah, no, it doesn't look like there's any more in the system. I could pick up these axolotl if I wanted to keep them around and keep them from despawning. But I think you get the point. I think that the farm has been shown. Okay, no, we only got 4 at that time. So there you go. It's very... Oh, what are y'all doing? What are y'all doing right here? The axolotl, you guys are crazy. No, stop. What are you... What on earth? This is not a place for y'all to be hanging out. There we go. Those 2 won't despawn. Stop! You have a death wish. By the way, some mistakes that I ran into while making this is I thought, why not bother filling the water? Just use an ocean. Well, I found that a lot of ocean creatures would spawn. I would get lots of squid. I would get lots of dolphins and cod and salmon, or I guess not salmon. Salmon's in the river. So I built this over land, and I didn't have that problem. So you may want to, you know, not avoid my problems that I had. I hope you enjoyed this build. I mentioned it in the middle of the video, but I want to mention it again. This is a modification of Rayworks' Glow Squid farm. So big thanks to Rayworks for originally coming up with this idea. And stay amazing, stay awesome. Please like the video. Please subscribe for future videos. Leave a comment down below. Share this with your friends, and I'll see you in another video. Bye.